Yeah, we need to talk about Doug. Doug's having a time. It's not necessarily an unfair thing to say. We all have a time from time to time, and Doug's doing that. Doug had a conversation with some people over at Digital Gnosis's channel. That's Nathan Ormond, a lovely British gentleman who is skilled in the ways of jiu-jitsu and philosophy, and counts himself a deconvert by way of PineCreek's, disassembling of his religious views. So, Doug was over there for a while. It was like a 5-hour stream. I have not watched the entire thing. After he was over there talking to these guys about various political issues and fielding questions for them, something, he decided to do this stream shortly after. So this is about 3 days ago. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to play this. He's playing this guy's stuff, Warren. I don't know why. Just make that full screen. But the title of his video is Project 2025 and the Radical Extreme Conspiratorial Boogie-man of the Left. Boogie-man. So Project 2025 is a boogeyman now. Cool. All right. So with that put out there, we should be good to go. Let's see, just to say hello to a few people. Aaron is here. Good to see you. Michael Deaton is here. Wraith Knight. Coco's. Greetings to you in Poland, I believe, which is like going on 11 o'clock at night there. So thank you for being here. Floyd FP is here. Good to see you, Floyd. Doug seems to be getting more radical. Yeah, at least performatively. I'm starting to question whether or not he actually believes any of this stuff, but yeah, he's at least talking the radical game. Alex Baptista is here. Kent Hovind CPA. I'm late. You didn't miss anything. Right, that ninja skills and philosophy. Is that legal? I mean, Digital Gnosis brings it all. He's got like hand-to-hand combat skills, plus he knows how to identify fallacy. I'm not saying he's the perfect man, but ladies, if you're looking you're looking to tick off a couple of things on your perfect man checklist, this guy does it. Although I have heard he does occasionally get some injuries from he was talking to Doug about this. Mat burn and stuff like that. That can get infected. You spend a lot of time doing that kind of training, and when it gets infected, you can. So if you're into a guy who's never been infected, that's a really tall order. So sorry. Yeah, Poland nearly tomorrow. It is. Yeah. Just started, Kent. You're good. Bree is here. Good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to jump into this. I haven't seen all of this. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. This is going to be weird. He's watching this guy talk about lefties and their reaction to Trump or something like that. So we'll see what he has to say. Bree says that is the guy that got fired from his teaching job for using students to create anti-trans content. Seriously? The skinny dude in the video that PineCreek has got up on his screen. That's who this person is. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh, well, this is getting even better. More details, please, Bree. As many as you can share in the live chat. I will highlight them as we go. Okay, so let's see. So Doug has discovered this individual. This person is a guiding light now, I guess, for Doug. Let's see what this person is going to guide Doug into.
And they brought up Project 2025. And I was thinking, like, there's so many, these young, some not young.
Yes, we covered him. Let me get you a link. You guys covered him already. Oh my god. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Jeff, we got a link up on a Doug stream. Yeah, we probably should at some point. Yeah.
Some people on the left, they believe the propaganda that their leaders tell them, and you guys got to stop that. You got to be a little more skeptical. And just to let you know, when Trump says things like, "This is the most important election of American history," or something like that, I don't believe him. When Trump says things like, "If Kamala Harris becomes president, it'll be..."
It's the most important election for him because it allows him to dodge certain legal obligations.
Our country won't survive it, or something like that. I don't believe him. Neither, if you're leaning left, in my opinion, when if the Democratic Party says that if Trump gets elected, Project 2025 is going to be enacted, don't believe them. And so,
okay, so Project 2025 is not a thing that gets enacted. 2025 is a thing that... So there's going to be some problems here with this. Going right on. I'm just going to play this more, and let's see what Doug has to say about this. Doug is just a pathetic loser at this point. Old conservative yells at clouds. Yes, fair as far as an insult goes. But he's trying to mix it up now with something a little bit more substantive. He's trying to talk about, like, hey, this connection between Trump and Project 2025, these leftists are making this into a thing that's not real. Let's see what happens here.
So yesterday I was in a live stream with Digital Gnosis, Nathan, and some other people, and they were so worried about Project 2025. And I wanted to make a video.
They were concerned about it. They're like, are you... Well, I don't know that they were so worried. That's kind of a weird way of putting it. They asked him, like, hey, are you aware of this, and what do you feel about voting for a guy who's running with this thing, kind of trailing behind him?
Showing their comments and doing Trump statements. And then this morning I saw this. This morning it came out by Warren Smith, who I've talked to on Peter Boghossian's channel a little bit. And he did such a great job. I thought I'd go through it because some of the conversations I've had with people is that it's for sure, like, if Trump he has friends in the Heritage Foundation, he's going to bring them in. And then not only is that an assumption, but the assumption is, even if he does bring some of them in, that it will be what Project 2025 wants will be enacted. That's also assuming that there's Republicans control the White House, the Congress, and the Senate. I mean, there's just so
They won't have to.
many ducks that have to be in a row for everything to happen. But anyhow, let's
No, I don't think so. Like, one of the biggest changes is the idea of removing the notion of a professional civil servant class. If you remove that. And Trump did. He already did that. He established it. It didn't really actually get enforced. I think he put that executive order forward in his last year in office. During the pandemic, nobody followed it. Nobody could. No guidance for it. They were busy with other things, mostly separating from each other. And then it got squashed later on. They tried this before. They're going to try it again, but they're going to try it a little bit more substantively. And the idea behind it is to make sure that you can't get away with stuff or something like that. It's a big lift for a group to try to pull off. I don't doubt that if Trump were to get in, that the conservatives that come in behind him would not initiate rules like this in order to, like, purge. So normally, let me just explain this. Normally, when a new president comes in, a president has certain political hires the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of Treasury, blah, blah, blah. All the people that work in the Department of Treasury and in the Department of whatever, the state, they don't have to go. They're not political appointees. They are civil servants employed by the federal government. They are professional, non-political appointees. And their job is to essentially administer the affairs of state. What has come up, what Trump tried to do before, and what Project 2025 declares to be like a permanent goal, is that any political appointees like Secretary of Education, Secretary of Treasury, and any of the employees downstream of them, they will all be treated the same. They will all be political appointees, which means an elimination of the professional civil servant class in DC. This doesn't end civil servants in other states, just ends it in DC, which is remarkably stupid because it was established so that you didn't have a kind of banana republic feel to the government. And you didn't get rid of people who were trained to do these jobs after 4 years simply because a new party came in. They were considered nonpartisan actions. So that's a big one. And that is like a core one in Project 2025. So if Doug's just like, it's not a big deal, he's stupid. He's not reading. He's not paying attention. Good to see you, Michael. My theory is that Doug is conservative because of what keeps his marriage and relationship with his parents together after he abandoned their previously shared faith. Yeah, I don't know about that. I wouldn't. Yeah. Don't know. Project 25 literally has a staffing apparatus for the Trump presidency's executive branch. Yes, it does. In fact, it's built around that. Most of it's built around the idea of making sure that the administration is staffed correctly, and then they've got all these things in place, and they've got the correct environment. So
let's listen to Warren Smith here.
Kept seeing Project 2025 being used as sort of like a stage prop.
This is Project 2025, the Republican blueprint for a second Trump term.
I got to say, that's pretty clever because when he showed up with that, it's, as far as I know, Project 2025 has never actually been printed, but it is 922 pages long.
Are you ready? I know nothing about Project 25.
He's lying. He does.
I haven't seen the document. I don't intend.
That's probably true. I'm pretty sure he's never seen the document and doesn't know what it says, but he's heard of it.
And to really see the document.
Okay. I hear Trump's voice. My guess is this is partly true and partly false. Has he seen the document? He's probably seen parts of it. That's very reasonable to say.
Right.
And it's a group of people that got together that wrote some kind of a dream document for them.
Who said, yes, this is the plans being laid out. And
he talked about this back in 2022. Conservatives lamented the fact that they were not prepared for Trump to actually win, and they wanted to make sure that they had a game plan if he got in again or got into a second term to make sure that they had ways to clear out the deep state, so to speak. And so they've been talking about this for a while now. Trump has also mentioned this in speeches going back to 2022.
And it may be true that Trump claims that he wants nothing to do with this, but there are people.
He hasn't claimed that he wants nothing to do with it. He's claimed he doesn't know anything about it.
People that he works with, or he has worked with in the past, that he's secretly.
There's a lot of people that he's worked with. Like out of the 38 people that are kind of core to the creation of it, 28 people worked with him and or are working with him.
Developing this with, and there was recently leaked footage of him.
The videos that you have released inside Project 2025's secret training videos.
So I looked at that evidence. Trump's not anywhere in that footage.
Who cares? The smoking gun of the training videos that ProPublica got their hands on is not that Trump shows up in the 2025 training videos. It's what the 2025 training videos tell people to do. Like, if you are being pursued by watchdog agencies, burn evidence. That was one clever one that I thought was interesting.
Footage, and I have not seen, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not seen anything that would actually act as evidence connecting Trump to Project 25.
It is a real document that you can.
His connection to Project 2025 is when he gave a speech in 2022 saying that they were going to have a game plan lined up. And it turns out it's Project 2025. I'd say that that's almost a direct connection. If you don't think so, okay. Doesn't matter. However, I would point out that generally speaking, the Heritage Foundation has usually had its pinky up the spine of every Republican candidate for president ever, including Donald Trump. So the idea that Project 2025 is not going to have any kind of influence at all, like, oh, no, nothing to see here, folks. They're completely separate. They're diametrically opposed. No, they're not.
Read for yourself at kamalaharris.com/Project 2025.
This is good.
Yeah. Or you can just search it in Google and you don't even have to go to Kamala Harris's website.
So Cockatoo Head there doesn't understand that the reason that he mentioned that was to get people to go to her site because it's at the Democratic National Convention. So the idea is to direct traffic towards her stuff, not to direct people towards the Heritage Foundation's website, which actually houses Project 2025 as a document. You can just look it up that way and find it. Yes. He's basically putting it out there and saying, hey, you can find a link to this at our candidates page.
J.D. Vance wrote a foreword for a book that this guy wrote.
Listen to this.
For yourself at kamalaharris.com/Project.
Because yesterday I was talking to some leftists. As a conservative, I like talking to people who disagree with me.
He does like talking to people that disagree with him. He doesn't actually like understanding where they're coming from.
Different leanings, different worldviews. And I asked, why do you guys think that Trump has anything to do with Project 2025? And one of the first things a guy named James said to me was,
the Heritage Foundation has always had its hands in the Republican nomination process. It has for years. I think this is hilarious to hear some like fucking, carpet bagging neophyte like Doug. They're like, why you think this Republican group has anything to do with it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because they always have. The 2025 thing, that document, has been a reissued document since 1981. It has existed since Ronald Reagan, Doug. It is not brand new. Project 2025 as its own species of thing is a new thing. But the idea of the Heritage Foundation mandate for leadership has been around since 1981. So I wish he would read and get some historical context on how this stuff works. I mean, I know he hasn't been in the country for that long, but holy shit, read.
Was because J.D. Vance wrote the foreword.
No. J.D. Vance wrote the foreword for the president of the Heritage Foundation's newest book, which I don't think is even out yet.
This is the full document of Project 2025 up. I typed in the word Vance, and it's not in there, except for the word advance and grievance.
There is no forward to the Project
I'll try
2025.
again. JD?
You can just skip past. I'm just going to play this.
JDA, FBI.
Speed this up.
JD Vance. Searching. None. No hits. Okay, let's go to the forward section. Control F, forward. There's not even, hang on.
Let's do 2.
Is there even a forward section in the document? Well, at least don't call it forward. Like a lot of books have a forward titled "Forward."
Oh my God.
I'm looking for it. Should be at the beginning, but it isn't. Okay.
There's no
2025.
J.D. Vance wrote a foreword for a book that this guy wrote. Yes, it's not Project 2025, and there are articles that are written clear.
I don't know any leftists who have said that J.D. Vance wrote a foreword to Project 2025. They've said that J.D. Vance wrote the foreword to the president of the Heritage Foundation, his newest book. Michael says, okay, let's be frank. He's never read it. He's never read a book. People, he said, okay, let's do that then. Doug is dumb. I'm starting to get that. Yes.
Clearly trying to
Leader's new
paint the
book.
picture that J.D. Vance wrote the foreword for Project 2025, which is just factually inaccurate.
So
There is no forward for Project 2025. It's a fuck. It's a position piece. It doesn't have a fucking forward. J.D. Vance wrote the forward for the president of the Heritage Foundation's newest book. If there are leftists or people coming out and saying, well, you know what, J.D. Vance wrote the forward to 2025, they're idiots. They're wrong. That's just wrong. They're misinformed. They're mistaken. I haven't heard this until now. I'm only hearing this. Well, I shouldn't say I'm only hearing this now. I heard this 2 or 3 days ago, when my brother brought this up to me. And I thought it was absolutely stupid.
it's so amazing to me because I sometimes get accused of believing the propaganda coming from the right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
The only people claiming there's a forward to P25
people on
are
the
the
left
Chuds.
are
Yes.
just gobbling this up.
Gobbling. Fuck, Doug. Gobbling what up? Spend 20 minutes in the left and you will not see anyone talking about this. You can't find it. I looked. I can't find anything about this.
J.D. Vance wrote the forward for Project 2025.
No, he didn't. He wrote the foreword to the Heritage Foundation president's book. That is not propaganda. That's actually true. Whatever the fuck Doug's talking about is nonsense.
Factually incorrect.
Agreed. It is factually incorrect. Where did you get that information from? Probably a right-wing source.
Anytime that I see something that's just factually incorrect and it's being trotted out and being used as a prop and a centerpiece for all of this, it's concerning. And then I have people.
It's concerning because it got trotted out by whom, Warren? Who the fuck trotted this out?
In my own life that genuinely believe this is real.
Who genuinely I'm a leftist and an actual leftist. Like, I believe in the eradication of private property. So all y'all pretenders can just dismiss yourselves. Like, okay, but any of you who are left-leaning or liberals or whatever can maybe, like, grasp onto this. The stuff that I read Jacobin, I read Catalyst, I read some left-leaning stuff. No one has said anything like this ever. Ever. This is just not true. I don't know what Warren's getting his information from. I don't know if he just Ground News. I got a news thing and it told me I don't know. I don't know if Ground News does that, but whatever. Like, oh, it turns out that the lefties are getting this information here and it's bad. It's bad info, folks. It's bad. It's not real. It's just not real. I read Isekai hentai. Get sucked into a new world where only sex happens. Pretty philosophical. It is. The opening of 2025 is called the Mandate for Leadership, a culture war-infused call to action that sets the precedent for the incoming policy prescriptions. Vance's forward is separate. Here's the thing. Like some of the guys that are in there, like Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is a guy from the Wall Street Journal. He's an absolute weasel. He writes a whole section for their part on fiscal policy about returning to the gold standard. Awesome. I am left of Jeff, down with fiat monies. I'm all for fiat monies. I just don't. I don't like property. Fight me, Bree. Fight me. Let's see.
Yeah. Finn, good question. What party does the Heritage Foundation align itself to? The Conservative Party. What party do those, in my opinion, crazy, wacko leftists who believe males should compete against females? The Democratic Party. So any argument you make like that by guilt by association, it can be used right back at you. And people on the left tend to, I don't know, it bothers them more, this idea of guilt by association. You can't even talk to a Nazi. Why not? Well, because then you're associated with them. So? Well, that makes you a Nazi. No.
Doug has no concerns about this. I don't mind being associated with authoritarians. I am one.
Where Trump and Project 2025 agree. They both do want to get rid of the education department.
Trump wants to defund education, the Department for Education. That's the claim.
Yeah, he probably does. Look, the last person that he had in charge was Elizabeth DeVos, who was a terrible Secretary of Education. If Trump gets in, he's kind of looking at like those kinds of waves, those kinds of influences getting through.
But let's take a closer look at that.
Our schools must be totally refocused to prepare our children to succeed in the world of work and in life and the world of keeping our country strong, so they can grow up to be happy, prosperous, and independent citizens.
Independent citizens. Okay.
What
See,
exactly?
on a lot of issues, I think I'm mainstream, but I'm way more conservative than Trump is.
This isn't what he's about to say is not conservative.
Because I'm okay with the abolishing of the federal Department of Education, not the state, the federal. I'm okay with that. Trump isn't. There's a lot of conservatives who.
No, I don't think you can safely say that. I think Trump is probably okay with the abolishment of the Department of Education as long as somebody can make him look good.
Would talk like me and say, yeah, why do we need a federal Department of Education? It actually only funds, was it something like 10% at most?
Because you have state level stuff and you have federal level stuff. Also, accreditation for colleges and student lending.
Most of all the federal money. And once the federal government has its fingers in education,
oh no,
it's quid pro quo. They can say, hey, either you teach this or you don't get funding, or stop.
As opposed to the fingers the state would put in. So like, okay, well, oh, you went to college in Arkansas? Yeah, I'm sorry. They were notoriously corrupt, but for those of you who went to Maine, you know the reputation that Arkansas colleges had. So no. The fuck is this?
Stop teaching this or you don't get funding. You can use it on both sides of the aisle. And do you want that?
Do you want an ignorant population, or do you want a population of like, okay, a bunch of kids popping up out of Alabama think the world is only 6,000 years old and they're trying to get in a fucking med school? Do you think they're going to be able to do that? Sure, let's try that. Way to turn the southeast of the United States into a complete and total, basket case. Doubtless schools who needs an educated populace anyway. Yeah, exactly.
If the government has no stake in it, then the state governments can give the middle finger to the federal government and say, hey, you're not involved in this party.
Give them the middle finger and turn down funding. That's what you're talking about, Doug. If they give them the middle finger, they then turn down funding. None of them are inclined to do that. Jesus, this guy's stupid.
You're not involved in this. Get out. Let us teach the kids we see fit.
This is just a traditional conservative idea around smaller government versus larger government, that the states have a better ability to do what is better for those within their states because people have.
They don't. They don't. That's the one thing about, like, look, let's just keep it real here, folks. The idea that the states are going to be okay with doing, like, fuck it. Like, this idea, like, it's a laboratory of democracy. So you can have an autocrat here, and you can have a theocracy here, and then all this kind of stuff. That's kind of the idea, right? It was just this weird fever dream of colonialists that just basically wanted to establish a country. But the federal government was going to be this kind of sort of like bridge of sanity over top of that. So, like, oh, okay, if you had to go into the royal papacy of Maryland, for example, if that's how Maryland broke, maybe like, oh, okay, well, they just created their own thing. And then to what extent does the federal government have say in terms of, like, you know, calling them out on their bullshit? Any? None? Here's my thing. Get rid of the states. All of them. Get rid of them. Especially if you're a conservative. If you're a conservative and you're for smaller government, why would you want 50 tiny governments underneath one giant federal government? Especially when the 50 tiny governments have to be usually constrained by balanced budgets. They can't deficit spend. A federal government can.
A better ability to influence what occurs within their state than they do at the federal level.
Oh, shit.
In vitro fertilization. Ethical.
Prosperous and independent citizens.
The brain becomes warped that nothing he says they believe. Trump is.
And this is what he really wants.
Legislature to act quickly to find an immediate solution to preserve the availability.
I apologize. I clicked on the bar and moved things.
Of IVF in Alabama, and I'm sure they're going to do that.
And then we see a direct response, him speaking with his own words, saying the exact opposite. People just dismiss that as, yes, he's saying that, but secretly there's Project 2025. And this is what he really wants to do, because people within his orbit are doing this. So we're judging people not on what they actually say or do. And that is a conspiracy. And then we have
conspiracy. I agree with that sentiment, but the distrust for Trump is so high. It's almost like,
why would the distrust for Trump be so high? Is it based on anything, or is it just coming out of nowhere? I'm kind of curious if Doug would answer that question. Is it possible that there's a reason why people have a lack of trust for Trump? Maybe.
the brain becomes warped that nothing he says they believe.
No, Sandals, that's not Phil Talk, Danny. That is, I think his name is Warren something. I don't know what his username is.
Trump could say the sky is blue. No, it isn't. Like, this is where it gets to be insane.
That's kind of how it works here, Michael. The idea of states' rights is foreign to me. A federal law is the law of the land, period. A province can institute a more strict law, but not less. This is silly. That's kind of how it works here, at least as far as, like, you know, if the state wants to be more strict, it can, but it can't be less strict. The only time this has become kind of a weird issue is with the enforcement of weed laws. But that's usually ended up getting argued about the idea of enforcement priorities. So,
people on stage, Obama himself claiming Trump with his conspiracy theories. Is this not a conspiracy theory?
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird.
So is Warren dismissing the idea that Trump is connected to like QAnon?
Obsession with crowd sizes.
If I come out and say, I have nothing, I don't have any interest in making in vitro fertilization any more difficult, I would like to make it as easy as.
And that's going to completely disabuse anybody of making the connection between Trump and QAnon. After 4 years of his presidency and 4 years of him running for re-election. He's been running for re-election for 4 years.
It's possible for families to have children.
I found it. Yeah, I'll let this play, but I think I found the in vitro part. You have to search under the word embryo.
Bree says, Warren Smith, let's give him a childish nickname. He can be Smithers. Doug can be Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, Doug's got the hairline for it.
Yes, well, Warren, yes, he says that. Warren says that, but this person who used to work with Warren co-authored this document. And in that document, they said, it's just, is this really the world? Is this really the wisest course of action? This is the world that you want to live in? Or it doesn't matter what someone actually says or does. Like, don't judge them on what they say they're going to do. And then the opposite, we have a candidate who does not seem to be saying much of anything around these topics. Just these.
Yeah. So here it is. Because the male-female dyad is essential to. I guess I should show it. This document's so incredibly big.
It's 922
You
pages.
probably still can't see it, but because the male-female dyad is essential to human nature, and because every child has the right to a mother and father, 3-parent embryo creation and human cloning research should be banned. And research on human embryonic stem cell registry. So basically, research based on embryos should be gone. Aggressively, a plan to pursue and fund ethical alternative methods of research in order to ensure that abortion, embryo destructive related research, cell lines, and other testing. Okay, that's all about research and testing. Actually, this is more about cloning.
Cloning.
Here we go. Eliminate the week after pill as a contraceptive. See, I disagree with that. Ella is a progesterone blocker and can prevent a recently fertilized embryo from implanting.
Please make a point.
Bioethics reform, research using fetal tissue. Yeah, actually.
Wait, what? What?
I don't think Project 2025 even says anything directly about IVF. It's all indirect.
Probably doesn't. It's probably indirect.
About not using embryos for research.
If you're interested in this, because this came up with Tim Walz, because Tim Walz didn't get IVF, they got IUF or whatever that is. Check out what what conservative Catholics have to say about IVF or intrauterine fertilization processes, which is what Walz and his wife had. That particular process is less expensive, less likely to create rejection, and less dependent on the virility of the male. Basically, the IUF means that Walz has got a kick-ass, underwear navy going on, but it's getting delivered via medicine. I don't know if these guys actually concluded that, because before they were just like, oh, he doesn't understand what IVF is. And it's like, yeah, the process that he got means that he's virile. So catch me outside.
Not doing like the 3-parent thing and cloning, which I think is
3-parent thing?
Reasonable.
3 parents and cloning is reasonable? Okay, cool.
You can still disagree with it, but it's not crazy.
Did you see Trump has come out in favor of IVF, as evangelical friends will not like that when they understand the process? Yeah, they won't. Well, he also came out against that 6-week ban or whatever down in Florida. He said he wouldn't vote for it.
Large statements built upon emotion that are the equivalent of saying, yes, I'm against poverty. Or
I have a feeling that Warren is the kind of guy that if you get really, like if you're describing a recipe for chocolate chip cookies that you're really into, this kid gets overwhelmed and has to go into a safe space. I'm just getting this from him. Like he's getting I'm getting weird Silicon Valley money out of this guy. Like, well, hang on. Let me process.
Young women should have the ability to succeed, and it's important to work
Platitudes.
in life.
What Warren's talking about here is, it seems like what's coming from.
If you're getting frustrated with platitudes, you're probably processing too much stuff. You might be autistic.
The left is more platitudes than anything, and the specific policies. Well, the one that just came out, no tax on tips. She took from Trump, and then in her.
All right, I'm gonna check that right now because that's been a thing. She didn't really take that from Trump. The union out in Vegas, well, I mean, that's the biggest group. It represents an enormous number of service employees in Vegas. That's been a thing that they've been campaigning for a long time. And so she's picked up on that. Trump picked up on that from them. So they're both kind of ripping that off. They're getting that from a union position. So I think it's cute that Doug's like, well, she didn't have an economic position until Trump came up with this one where they weren't going to tax tips anymore. Like, Trump didn't have it either. Somebody told him, like, you know what? People in Vegas will love you if you do this. And he'd be like, they'll love me? Do it.
Speech, I think she...
That was my best Martha... what's her name? Jennifer Coolidge. Jennifer Coolidge. Can I be president again? Please make me.
The immigration bill, the bipartisan bill, which is for... There's a section in it that says that the wall should be... continue to be built.
The wall.
And Kamala Harris said years ago, it's a total waste of money. Doesn't solve the problem, something like that.
It doesn't.
But yet she supports a bill that builds the wall, Trump's wall.
We are not going back. We are not going back.
The bill supported more staff and more asylum judges. I don't know that it supported. It may have supported more like physical construction of stuff, but
we are not going back.
Not going back to what? You're currently in power. You're not going.
Doug's dumb. Like, this is a stupid thing to say. Like, we're not going back to Trump. Like, it's not hard to track. You're saying we're not going back to Trump. Now, we're not going back to like 2 years ago when we were
going back to the way things are currently. I mean, the last 3.5 years. This reminds me of when
I shouldn't use that word, but
who was speaking at the DNC and basically it was Michelle Obama talking about hope for the future, and now we finally have hope with Kamala. Mm-hmm. Hello. The Biden-Harris administration has been in power for 3.5 years. Michelle Obama, I don't think people realize this, was
Doug has been
indirectly bashing. It's like, finally we have.
Doug's been sweating this for a long time, and I'm not exactly sure why. The idea that what she's talking about is the idea of hope or whatever, in the future, is probably the same wording that she had, even if it was Biden. I don't know if he's like savvy enough to acknowledge that that's what's going on. A lot of the language that was happening at the DNC for speeches that were probably happening some of them might have been completely unique. Some of them might have, but a lot of them might have been, rejiggered, reconfigured. The idea that, that sentiment wasn't the same is a little bit naive.
We have hope for the future, even though my team has been in power for the last 3.5 years.
And we are charting a new way forward. Forward.
Could chart it right now. You're in power.
To me, watching these speeches, is that it was just that again and again. It was that sprinkled in with just attacks on the opposite party and the opposite candidate, built around Project 2025.
Well, these are the terms and conditions of a second Trump presidency. You vote for him.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know if Doug doesn't understand this or not, but there used to be a thing called movement conservatism. And movement conservatism used to be kind of a libertarian movement. It used to be the idea that the party in power, well, it used to be that the government is the opposite of empowerment and enablement. Right. If the government is offering a program, it's shackling you in some way and slowing progress down. Been a thing for a long time. The idea going forward now is that, well, Project 2025 is not directly connected to Trump, therefore you can't use it against him. Okay. If BLM was as profligate and as flush with funds as the Heritage Foundation and wrote a 900-page document for whoever the Democratic president might be, they could call it the Mandate for Change. Wouldn't the conservatives do everything they could to like tag that to the Democratic candidate running? Especially if that particular group was historically known for bringing out an enormous amount of voters for those issues and for directing policy changes that those, the previous presidents and administrations had done. I'm just wondering, like, would he be okay with that? Even if you don't take that into a consideration, just imagine BLM wrote 900 pages of how you should run the government, and they want it to go to Kamala Harris. Is Doug okay with that? Is Doug gonna be like, well, you can't directly connect them. It's not. I mean, I don't think so.
Him, you vote for all of this. Let's take a look.
Spectacle is just going to be a reality at these conventions on both sides.
Spectacle at a convention is the point. So yeah,
I thought the Kid Rock performance was. I found it a little cringe.
A little. So this guy's taking an issue with Keenan doing the whole, this is how big the 2025 thing is, and I'm going to plop this down on a pulpit. Oh, well, I'm a little bit apologetic about the fact that Kid Rock showed up, but
it's just me.
That's just you?
Throw fist in the air, let me see where you at. Say fight, fight. Say fight, fight.
There was equal cringe on the other side. Kenan Thompson coming out and wielding Project 2025 literally as a prop.
So Kenan Thompson wielding Project 2025 as a book is equivalent to Kid Rock. No, they're not. One of these is embarrassing and the other one is amusing. What the fuck is this shit?
All right, we got Matt here with us tonight. Is Matt here? Hey, there he is. I understand that you work as an AV tech in Nevada and you make a decent hourly wage. Is that right? Can we hear Matt? So who's gonna fix it? I guess we're gonna move on from Matt.
There are many people who want something to be true, And they seem to just be blindly making that narrative cognitively coherent to themselves and just overlooking everything else in the pursuit of that.
I have a feeling that if I had a conversation with this guy for a long period of time, one, he would stop, drop, and roll, blink uncontrollably, and possibly cry. I'm not exactly sure what this guy's on, like in terms of drugs or what, but this is unusually weird. Like, oh well, I decided to look at all the sources, and when I looked at all the sources, I realized that all these people are like, some of these people are saying that like Donald Trump would be like, in these things, and I just realized he wasn't in those things. So that's not what Donald Trump's trying to do. Like, so your contextualist, neophyte, danding around didn't yield you the results that you wanted. Cool.
Goal. That's a form of cognitive dissonance. It's powerful.
Agreed.
You combine that with the hatred for this other candidate, and you package that within a story.
Agreed.
Like Project 2025, and no amount of firsthand disavowals or firsthand statements coming right out and saying, I have no interest in Project 25. I don't even know what this is. This is...
If over 60% of the population believes that Donald Trump is not honest, that's beyond whoever votes for him. Over 60% of people who are polled believe that Donald Trump is not honest. What the fuck do you think you're going to get if you ask him if he's cool with Project 2025? Do you think he knows a goddamn thing about it? No, he doesn't know anything. Resetting. Recharging. All right, here we go. The reason that this is an issue is because the guy that other people are going to vote for, there's this whole like, oh, there's two different people that you can vote for, and it's totally normal, and it's totally cool, and you'll be totally fine no matter how you do it. No, it won't. One of them is backed by a Republican Party that has been hijacked by authoritarian weirdos that want to make sure that the party is in a permanent position of power. If you don't believe that, go ask them. Go ask them. If you're interested in the idea of like, the results of elections being a thing dependent on the way that people vote, then maybe people should vote for Democrats. The way that this idiot is talking is absolutely out of control. Absolutely insane. Oh, well, we don't have to actually worry about that, because if you actually think about the way that that information came, like, no. One of these people is running under the rubric of, if they get a lot of votes, if they get the most votes, they get to become the president. The other one is, I'd better get all the votes or else. That's not normal. That's not normal. And I'm sorry, I like your chambray shirt and your weird ass patio or whatever that's going on behind you. Cool. You're neat and shit, and you got that stuff going on. You don't understand what the fuck is happening in the country. That is not normal, dude. One of these candidates is not normal. It's not, well, there's A or there's B. No. There's an orange or there's a hand grenade.
And suddenly that it doesn't matter. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's because I think, well, here's a possible explanation for this.
Oh, God.
It's because of feelings. It's because
No, well, yeah, it is for feelings. It's because that there's an enormous number of people that have to listen to the feelings noise that comes from these weird ass chauvinists who believe that they're secret knights or Jedi or special ed ninja or something like that, and they can come into the world and then do embrace society and all their talents and stuff. And nobody can tell them otherwise. That seems to be where this is going, right?
All my friends believe this way, so I have to believe this way too. Or
no,
a perception of real harm that's going to happen to me if
a perception of actual harm. Okay. One of the guys that is up for election now, when he was president, banned people from coming into this country for being Muslim. It didn't stick, but he tried. So please tell me why these other people are irrational for being afraid of what a new presidential term for Donald Trump would mean. You moron. He said he would ban these people. They'll be blocked from the border. The Supreme Court said no, can't do that. But he tried it anyway.
Trump becomes president. Like, even if I put myself in a Democrat's shoes and everything else is the same, okay, my lot in life, my family is still here, my whatever.
the dead sister, the dying sister, whatever it is. How does this work?
Everything's the same, except now I'm a Democrat, okay?
Okay, now he's a Democrat.
And then I'm imagining Trump.
We're just going to, pretend that this guy's affiliated with a different political group, but still lacks empathy at all.
I'm becoming president. Guess what? My life's not going to change.
Really?
There's nothing that President Trump can do to me as a Democrat that I can see that reasonably can hurt me.
Has Trump, not Trump, has Doug just accidentally stumbled on the reality of white privilege? Did he just get it? I think he did.
He could raise my taxes.
Yep.
That would hurt a little.
It would.
But
not that much.
I'm not super rich. I'm not making millions of dollars a year.
You're not? Well, you're a loser.
I think Trump is not going to raise taxes on the rich, right? He's a bad guy. He likes rich people. He's a rich person. So
right.
There's the problem is, if you have this real fear that if Trump's going to win, like, is he going to kill you?
Is he gonna? Is he out of his goddamn mind? What? Is that the limit? Is that where it needs to hit? Well, don't vote for that one, because that one will actually get you physically. They'll get you. There are policies that are laid out in Project 2025, which are very, very similar to policies that Trump has talked about, or Trump, tried to pass, or whatever, which would result in people maybe not being alive anymore. Is Doug okay with that?
What laws will he enact that will affect you personally. Even if I imagine myself as a trans person, most of these laws are at the state level, not the federal. But there are some federal things like changing back Title IX, which Biden changed. Trump could say something like, no, we will, as a country, it will be legal to discriminate based on gender identity. Okay, so I'm a trans person. Then I'm still not going to use the bathroom that society doesn't want me to use. I'm still not going to compete against females in sports. Well, I'm old now, but is it really going to affect me? Oh, am I going to be sad that I'm not going to get an F on my driver's license instead of an M? Not really. See, now, but I'm picturing myself as a stable trans person. A stable trans person is not going to be bothered by this. A stable trans person is not going to say, I require the love of my government. Right? Mm. But maybe by definition, a trans person is unstable. I'm talking about trans people on purpose here because I've been told I talk about it too much, which means I need to talk about it more.
The reason that he's told that he's talking about trans stuff too much is because he's not trans. He's been told that by trans activists or just trans individuals. They're like, you're talking about this too much for somebody who's not trans. You don't have a stake in this. You can fucking calm down. It's like, oh no, I need to talk about it more. I'll fight the system. Cool. What the hell? Oh, well.
Okay, so you just watched
by the way, I posted the join link into the chat for StreamYard if you'd like to. No pressure. But if you would like to come on and talk with me live, we can do that. If you'd like to say goodbye, it would be all right. I don't know if you guys know that reference, but it's not important.
That conversation that Warren had, that video. Yesterday I was in Digital Gnosis's live stream. Let's see if I can find it here. And almost everything that Warren brought up,
I probably should have gotten
was talked about in that live stream. Let's see if I can show some of it.
Really?
This conspiracy type thinking. Let's search 2025. Ooh.
Because that was Bates. It was Bates. I mean, but like, why would you even like? Never mind.
This is what I was speaking about. We need these veterans.
Are you concerned about Project 2025?
Me?
Yeah. No. Okay, fair enough. Are you aware of what it is?
It's so long. I've read maybe 10% of it, and that's probably an exaggeration. Probably closer to 5%.
World where Kamala Harris wins the election, Project 2025 will happen anyway.
No.
Then I don't understand. Like, wouldn't you?
Okay, you got a hidden assumption in your question. Your assumption is that Trump endorses all the things in Project 2025, right?
No,
that wasn't even in there.
Okay,
I don't have that assumption at all. I don't think Trump.
Okay, so why did you mention Trump?
Because his election will enable Project 2025 to happen.
His election will enable Project 2025 to happen, even though Trump has said the opposite. So if you're leaning left, you have to say Trump lied, and he's saying this to get voted, but as soon as he's in, he's going to adopt many things in Project 2025, if not the majority. Yeah. That's what you have to believe.
This guy's such a fucking moron. Like, look, the institutional establishment of how all this kind of stuff runs is not dictated entirely by the president. So the game plan here was to set up a scheme that the president could run off of, any conservative president could run off of, jumping in. This idea that like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this out of it. Like they're going to do this. They're going to, it's not going to matter whether or not we vote for that or not. Like if it's a point of contention for them, they're just going to eliminate it.
That's what I just asked you.
No,
You use the word enable, but why do you think Trump's election will enable Project 2025?
Vance wrote the forward.
Okay, did you hear that? James, this guy named James.
Hang on. Let's listen to that.
Enable, but why do you think Trump's election will enable Project 2025?
Vance wrote the forward.
Okay, did you hear that? James, this guy named James just said Vance wrote the forward. Factually untrue.
Did he? Did James say that J.D. Vance wrote the forward for the 2025 document? Let's play that again.
This guy named James just said Vance. Why do you think Trump's election will enable Project 2025?
Vance wrote the forward.
Okay, did you hear that? James, this guy named James just said.
James started to speak. He said that J.D. Vance wrote the forward. Did he get cut off? He did not say that J.D. Vance wrote the forward to 2025. Doug is saying that James is saying that J.D. Vance wrote the forward to 2025. Does Doug know what the fuck he's talking about? No. We don't know if that's what James meant because James got cut off. That's my impression of it.
Vance wrote the forward. Factually untrue.
Factually untrue. It is factually untrue because there is no forward to the Project 2025 document.
This James guy's bought into the left-wing propaganda.
According to Doug, but Doug doesn't know what James actually meant to say. Did James mean that this guy did that? Or was he cut off? He didn't actually say that. So maybe follow up with him and get clarification.
Because Trump will because there's along with Trump, right, there comes a whole bunch of policymakers, right, starting from the top of the administration, Heritage Foundation folks who wrote the 2025 documents, right? They come into power, right? They get to lay out policies and hiring decisions and so on. That's
what do you base that Trump will hire these Heritage Foundation people?
Because many of them are people from there. We have
so these are assumptions, but what would be the left-wing equivalent to this? Well, if I vote for Harris is going to bring in these far radical left-wing progressives, these woke progressives, who will say that if you
No, I'm kind of convinced that if I vote for Harris, she's going to vote in centrist kind of technocrats to run things.
Discriminate against a trans person. Say a boy can't go in a girl's bathroom. Sorry, a male can't.
Yeah, that's what we'll get. We'll get the trans version of what the Wehrmacht, what's going on?
Can't go into a female's bathroom. That you could actually be punished for that legally. That's
going to come from Harris.
Discrimination based on gender identity. That would be, I think, the equivalent of the type of fear that Deepak here is expressing.
Because many of them are people from his ex.
Did you tell Deepak that?
Administration, right?
Okay.
Many of them are people who've had. I mean, there's people who have talked.
Okay, but they're forgetting that we have 3 branches of government. You're assuming that even if you want to enact something, there's many things that people on the left want to enact and can't or don't accomplish because they don't own both the Senate and the House. And then even some things that they can get through, then the Supreme Court sometimes says, no, this is not constitutional. Doug, Vance wrote the foreword to the Project 2025 leader.
Is Doug paying attention to the fuck ever? Pat says the connection between Kevin Roberts' Dawn's Early Light has key overlaps with what is included in Project 2025, both written by Roberts. It's not a Herculean leap, Doug. Yeah. Yeah, Doug's trying to do this whole like Babe in the Woods kind of thing. Like, oh, did they really do this together? Like, no, they didn't. But also, they did.
Leader's book, correct, but not Project 2025. See, this is that whole guilt by association thing. But if you're going to if you want to tell the truth, then tell the truth. Say, no, J.D. Vance did not write the foreword to Project 2025. He wrote the foreword for a different book that's associated with a guy in Project 2025. That's the truth.
Probably should do that. Yeah.
Right? Right.
You have changed your mind in a direction that's got more and more radical. And
why do you think it's radical? My views on the trans issue, for example, is very mainstream. And
Doug's position on trans issues is not mainstream. There's an individual that's popped up in my chat who is not a cult leader, but I'm going to bring him in anyway. Be warned, because he might use his powers on you. He likes to seduce people with his Taylor hams and stuff. It's Christopher Mowdy.
How are you?
Howdy.
How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, you sound great.
All right, good. I got the Oracle of the Couch watching some Charmed. I got my boy here, home from college for the weekend.
I was going to say, you've got a different setup than the last time I saw you. Yeah.
Well, I have a new camera that's on it's like a, what do they call those? What do they call these again? Teleprompter. Everybody knew the name of it except me. So I got a new teleprompter that has a new really nice camera. Elgato. They make nice shit. The Stream Deck.
You got an Elgato teleprompter.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, fancy ass. Well, I've been thinking about
nice.
One of
Look
those
at the
too,
camera.
because no, it's good. It's good because there's that engagement. My eye land's always out of whack because I got to look up there to like, hey, Mowdy, look at it.
Yeah.
Look at that's
this I could have anything on this because obviously it's a screen here that projects onto this mirror. But I'm getting this weird glare, and I don't know what that's about. But
I'm seeing it too. I'm seeing a reflection. It's weird. It's like a little bit of a bounce back. That's nice.
But anyway, so Doug's doing some bangers today, huh?
Yeah. Well, Doug's been doing his thing, and yeah, I'm tired of it. So.
I hear you.
So I gotta
like
jump out there and make a mess out of things. I don't know. He's just being a dick about this. This is weird. Well,
I mean,
this one.
You realize that he's a businessman. He's not a pundit. I don't believe that he is invested in the things that he says. He's a businessman that's trying to work a specific business model, and that happens to be outrage peddling.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Yes, that probably is true.
So Dan Cooper's in the side chat. Doug's doing Doug stuff. Yeah, well.
Yeah. And now that we're doing this, everybody's waiting like, well, they're going to start talking about like New Jersey meats and fragrances. And yes, I'm going to talk about fragrances because the fit today, I forgot to mention it. What is this one? This one is Halston Z14, which is terrible. This one is Davidoff Zeno. And this one is great. Davidoff Zeno, if anybody doesn't know it, Find it. Its opening is disgusting.
Oh,
Like
really? Top
when you
notes?
when you spray it on yourself, it's absolutely awful. But when you scrub it off, the skin scent that it leaves behind, absolutely magical. It's fantastic. It's this musky, spicy kind of like caravan-y. Like,
Well, it
yeah,
obviously
like
works with your chemistry.
it's working on me. I don't know if it's going to work on anybody else. And that's always a key thing, because there's always like Dior Homme Intense, which is like a universal favorite. Everybody loves Dior Homme Intense. When I put it on, after about 8 hours, it smells like, it makes my skin smell like a rubber duck.
Oh,
That
really?
fake,
What?
you know what I mean? That fake plastic rubber
Yes,
duck
I
kind
know
of.
what
Yeah,
Great
it
reference.
makes my skin smell. So anytime I smell
Like a
that kind of
beach
stuff,
ball.
I can lean in on a fragrance and be like, that's going to make me rubber duck. And like,
I went classic. I'm Polo.
I love
Ralph
Polo.
Lauren. Polo's great.
Polo green. Is that what
No,
you're talking about?
no, classic. What is it? The blue?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. There's that new one that they came out with, Polo 67 or whatever. That one's supposed to be great.
And what is it? What is 67 reference to? Was there a formula in 1967 that they're homaging?
I don't know, because
I
Polo
want to
green came out in like
know.
1983 or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're going for. It's supposed to be like a sport fragrance or something like that, but it's supposed to be very nice. So I'm interested. I've got a sample coming. So
I also heard Sauvage has been coming out with different types.
it has an alcohol-free one. It's called Eau Forte. So the alcohol-free one doesn't have ambroxan in it, because I guess ambroxan and alcohol kind of go together like, chips and fish. Well, the Eau Forte is like, Eau Fresh is usually like the lowest concentration of a cologne that you get. And Eau Forte is somewhere between Eau Fresh and a cologne. It has no real alcohol content in it. And with that being said, people that have sampled it have said that it's awful. I'm curious about it. I would really like to smell
misusing it.
Maybe
no alcohol means it should be way more concentrated.
It's probably more concentrated, less of a boost. There's no ambroxan. There's no ambroxan, and there's no alcohol in it. So
One
it's
of
going
the
to be
things
more
that
of a
alcohol
natural
does
skin
is it
scent kind of thing.
volatilizes that top note. So without alcohol, it's going to hit you completely differently, because the timing of the odors isn't going to be stacked, or it's not going to be laid out. I guess that was an inappropriate analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, cologne tangent. The poor side chat.
Yeah, they're all.
We're talking about
fragrance tangent. Sorry. Yeah. No, I could talk about this for quite a while, because I'm not into like tarot or cards or whatever, but I do like my
you like your fragrances.
I do like my aromatherapy stuff. Yeah.
Well, you don't. Well, hold on a second. What's your take on aromatherapy? We've talked about this, haven't we?
I think we have. I mean, because, well, I don't. Hang on. This is one of those things that happens where it's like, hey, the weatherman asks you, like, hey, we talked about the weather yesterday, but did we really talk about the weather? You know what I'm saying? Like, and in your case, it's like, did we talk about like aroma chemicals? Like, we probably didn't.
So you tell me what aromatherapy is and your take on it.
Okay, so my understanding of aroma chemicals and aromatherapy is just that sort of like the idea of sort of experiencing the sense of the aroma, inhaling it in, tasting it, whatever, combination of the two, and then experiencing either its stimulation or its relaxation effect. That's my understanding of aromatherapy. So you tell me how I'm wrong.
No. I mean, you kind of nailed it.
Okay.
I would just use more broad terms, right? So aromatherapy is the delivery of an odor either tactilely or orthonasally that has claimed physiological effects, whether they be stimulating, arousing, or relaxing. Is that kind of what you said in different terms?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
And aromatherapy is to be contrasted with aromacology. Aromacology is the scientific study of how fragrances have objective changes to physiological and endocrinological function.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Now, I don't
Sounds right.
believe that aromatherapy is anything more than, until the evidence about it changes that I can see, it's anything more than associative learning.
I just want to point out that Maya's, is this really happening right now? Yes.
Yes, it is.
It really is. Yeah. This can actually happen right
now. At an hour 21 in.
All right. I should probably just like end it. Well, no, I'm not going to do that because it's only been an hour and 20 minutes. An hour and a half is usually good. Okay. So I'll just mark this right now. Christopher and I are just going to talk about whatever we want, and we're just going to end whatever I was doing with Doug, from PineCreek from before. I'll just wrap that up. So if you are no longer interested in, if you don't, if you wanted to see more PineCreek Doug, I'm probably not going to bring him back. There's no reason to bring him back. I'm just going to cover some stuff with Mr. Mowdy.
Not be insulted. So, we're going to play a little catch up.
And for you who have done that, thank you. I love the fact that you came on here, you supported me, and you watch this kind of stuff. Please subscribe, all that kind of stuff. But now we're going to move on to a different phase. The phase that Maya fears. Is this really happening right now?
Yes, we're going to lean into it. Pragmatic Crystal.
It's really happening right now. YouTube, what's happening? Had to step away. Don't know. We have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen right now. Okay, so let's go.
I love it. So aromatherapy. I just think that it's associative learning.
Christopher, you're muted.
Am I? No, I'm not.
What? Why are you muted?
Check 1, 2. Not muted. According to YouTube Punk. No, he's not. You just can't hear me. Hunter Biden's laptops. Aromatherapy 101.
Shit. You were in here before. Can you drop out and come back in?
They can hear me. You can't hear what I'm saying. Look at the side chat. It's you.
I don't know what you're pointing at. Sorry. There we go. I don't know why that was happening. All right. So I'm waiting for Mowdy to come back. I'm hoping that he can. Oh, well.
How about now?
Howdy.
Can you hear me? I'll bet the audience can.
Go ahead.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
I can slightly hear you. What is going on with my...
Slightly. Did you change anything? Maybe when you closed out the YouTube?
No, I heard you there.
That's because I'm almost eating my microphone.
I could hear you then, but I couldn't hear you the rest of the time.
Well, what about this? Is this a normal volume for you? Or is this low down? You can hear me now, though, right?
Hang on.
So I feel like I should be telling a joke right now. So little Johnny's having problems at school, and his parents are brought in. And
Yeah, I'm not sure why this is happening now, especially now. It was working fine before. Are you there now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So I'm going to keep telling the joke until we figure this out.
Yeesh.
I'm typing that they can hear me in the private chat. So his parents come in, and
I can't hear you. Yeah, I don't know why this happened now with StreamYard. I have no idea why.
I'm going to tell Jeff to play a YouTube video.
I can't hear it. I'm pretty sure that my audience can, which is really weird.
All right. And so little Johnny's from North Jersey. Let's see if I can get through this joke. And now he's muted himself. So now I can't hear him. This is outstanding. And so in order to test little Johnny's math abilities.
I can't get that out. I'm going to end this. We're going to go off stream and I'll figure out how to actually like diagnose what's going on. Let's do that. Stay on, stay put.
I'm going to stay
we'll
put.
Get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for watching. If you're live, and if you're not, thank you again. Like, subscribe, and if you have any suggestions, send them to jeffersonspatchcock@gmail.com. Anyway, I will let you go.
With
Take care, everybody. I'm going to try to figure out exactly why I can't hear Mr. Maverick.
Solving
See ya.
The issues of the world.